Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here, and today, 5 things that other YouTubers and other reviews are not telling you about this brand new Commodore 64. I'm very excited about this. We're going to try to keep this short but educational. Obviously, if you want to see more about any of these topics, leave a comment down below. First thing I wanted to show you is you can have multiple displays. So obviously HDMI out is going to this display. But what about this guy? I have an actual Chroma Luma Commodore 64 video cable going to this 1702 monitor, which gives us pretty much the best display possible for a Commodore 64. You can see that they both work simultaneously, and you can also see that they're almost perfectly in sync. I'm sure there's probably a millisecond lag in there somewhere that I don't see, but this really gives you the opportunity to play on one screen and maybe record or send this output to a capture card or a bigger monitor where somebody else could watch. So that's actually very, very cool. And that to me is a feature that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but it's really, really useful, especially if you own your own hardware. Next up, the audio stress test. So for me, audio is one of the greatest parts of the Commodore 64. I love it. It's amazing. And my litmus test for any Commodore emulator or hardware is, does it play the guitar riff intro for Skate or Die? Now, this is really cool. This intro riff was done by Rob Hubbard, big, huge musical genius for the Commodore 64, by exploiting an early SID chip problem in the early SID chips. Unfortunately, Commodore decided to fix that. The future versions of the SID chip, like especially in the Commodore 128, you'll find that if you play this opening riff, you won't hear almost any guitar at all, which is absolutely crazy. So let's take a look at what this sounds like, and I will tell you that it does sound correct on the Commodore 64, the new Ultimate Commodore 64. Take a listen. That's really badass, right? Now imagine that with pretty much absolutely no guitar riff at all. If you go into the menu, you can see that there are some audio things that you can mess with regarding the Ultimate SID. Now, this should be the newer SID chip configuration, and yet we are hearing the digitized audio. Technically speaking, if we have the 8580 chip, we should not be hearing that digitized audio. Instead, we should be using the 6581 chip. So for whatever reason, regardless of which one of these that you're using, you're still not getting that exploit fix. Not exactly sure why that is. Maybe somebody smarter out there in the comments can help me out, but I cannot duplicate the glitch of using it on newer hardware. So it's great that I can hear it, right? It's great that we have that. I want that. That's the end result I want. But I've kind of also been promised that I could use an older version of the SID chip or the newer version of the SID chip, which would allow me to get that exploit. So there's almost an emulation problem or FPGA problem with that. Hard to know for sure, but suffice to say, I was kind of looking forward to being able to exploit that. You'll also notice when I did a reset that I lost my fast load cartridge. That's something we can talk about as well. We'll talk about that actually later. Now, this device allows you to put in your own SID chips. So I'm sure I could procure both an old and a new one. There's 2 slots in here, and you can change between the 2 of them at will. My guess is I could get the old SID chips, and they may or may not perform. If you'd like to see me go and get SID chips and put them in here and find out if that exploit still works, let me know in the comments down below. Obviously, if you are a Commodore 64 aficionado, you've got floppy drives, you've got a tape drive, you've got cartridges, and understanding how well this works with real hardware is important. Now, we already know it works with the video, but how good do the cartridges work? How good do the storage devices work? Even the tape drive, how good is it? Well, here's the thing. We can test all of this at one time. We're going to take Toy Bazaar, We're going to flash it with a flasher cartridge, right? Because I promised you that we were going to look at this flash cartridge. We're going to snapshot it, save it to both disk and to tape, and test out just how good the entire process works. So cartridges, obviously, they wouldn't have shipped this guy without cartridge support. As you can see, fast load works fine. I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put in this Star Trek game, Star Trek SOS, easily one of my favorite Star Trek games of all time. And you can see it works fine. So cartridge support works. Flash cartridges are a different beast. These guys do things that the original designers of the hardware never expected you to do. So that's why we're going to use this as part of our test, as well as exporting to these other devices. So I'm going to put the Action Replay cartridge in. And as you can see, it comes right up. It does see the cartridge, and you can use it. This is the 4.2 Action Replay. Now, understand, I think they got up to like version 8, so this is an older cartridge. If you do not update your firmware on this device, installing fast load will not work. It'll error out to some sort of a monitor. So obviously make sure you update your firmware. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But how does this work? Now, right now, I have the Commodore machine set up to have its own virtual internal drive 8. Now I have both a drive 8 and a drive 9 here. You'll also see on one of the cameras that this has been unplugged. You cannot use drive 8 virtually if drive 8 exists on the physical drive chain. There's your little bonus feature. So it's currently unplugged, but drive 9 is on the drive chain. So that means I can use both a virtual drive in here along with a physical drive here on device 9, which is exactly what we want to do. I'm going to reach behind here, turn on drive 9. So now I've got 9 and I've got 8 built in. And of course, the tape drive doesn't have any sort of conflicts. It's just there. So we have Toy Bazaar. This is great because it has a physical error during the read, right? The copy protection is basically tripping a physical hard error on the disk, which is going to be good for what we want to do. Now, I know what you're thinking. It probably won't load from drive 9, right? You might be right. So in order to make this work, we're going to have to use drive 8. So we're going to plug this guy in. So I do have a drive 8 and a drive 9. Put this in drive 8. We are going to have to go in, though, and disable the other drive. Otherwise, it will be in conflict. So we're going to disable the internal drive 8. Now, you'll notice we still have the fast load working, which is great. Now we're going to load Toy Bazaar. Now, this takes a little while. Oh, it's not going to work with the fast loader. That sucks, right? So it's going to crap out with the fast loader. So in order to make this behave, we're going to have to disable the fast loading features of the cartridge, and that's okay. Unfortunately, that means this game takes forever to load, but it also probably allows for the game to execute its copy protection. Now, this is going to take a really long time, so we're going to speed this up a little bit once the actual load starts. Now, listen carefully. That is a hit of copy protection. It wouldn't have gotten this far had that copy protection failed. Now we're going to let this thing sit and load. Okay, we are done loading. I guess there wasn't a second hit. The game should start, and I'm going to freeze it. All right, so now the game is frozen in memory. Now, how this usually works is you would then hit the backup. It's going to compress, do whatever it needs to do, and then it's going to be ready to go. Perfect. So let's see what we can do and what actually works. I have a blank disk here. We're going to put it in drive 9. I'm going to change my device to drive 9, and I'm going to hit format, just so you guys can see that formatting works. And it's very fast. Hear that? If you've ever formatted a disk by hand, it's usually like a 2-minute deal. Now, I do believe that when you save it off, it does a format anyway, but I just wanted to show you that that does indeed work. All right, so now we're ready to dump it. We're going to use the turbo loader. You could probably use any of those, but I'm going to use the built-in turbo loader. And what are we going to call it? Toy Bizarre. I made it short for a reason. Okay. And it writes the file. So remember, with these flash cartridges, the idea is once you were past the copy protection, which we were, and the game doesn't make any subsequent checks to the copy protection, you load the game, you freeze it, you dump it to a disk, and you boot off of that, and this original disk no longer matters because you've already circumvented the copy protection, and you never have to worry about it again. Okay, so now I've backed it up to a disk. What about the tape? Okay, I've already got the tape rewound. Now, there's two ways of saving: turbo or super turbo. Now, for super turbo, you need a really high quality tape. You need a nice clean drive heads, all that good stuff. I can tell you right now that super turbo would not work for us, but I do know that turbo does work. Press record, and we go. Now, here's something really interesting. I'm not going to make you sit through this whole thing because it takes forever, but listen carefully. You hear it? It's actually letting you hear the sound of it being written to tape. So it wrote the turbo loader, and now I believe it finishes writing the rest of the file. You hear it? It's actually kind of weirdly hypnotic. So this is going to take its own sweet time. We're going to skip ahead until it is done saving, and then we'll continue. All right, the save to cassette is done. We hit stop, and we're done. Now, can you go back to the game now, and does it work? It does. So I would say that the flash cartridge is a big success. Now, let's make sure. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the flash cartridge for now. We know that it works. But I know a lot of people won't have one of these. They will have the venerable Epix fast load. So we'll go ahead and use that as our main deal here. So remember, this is drive 9 now. So I'm going to move it over here to drive 8. And then we have the cassette. I'm going to rewind that so that we can test that. And I'm going to test Toy Bizarre. That's interesting. As there was some drive access, it stopped the cassette port for a moment. Not sure if that was real Commodore behavior or not. It's been a long time since I've used these in conjunction with each other. Now we're ready to test our recently dumped game. We'll use fast load. I'm trying to remember what it was for this. No, not press plan tape. Let's see how we do. Boy, I sure do love the turbo loader of that action replay. Woo! Oh, there we go. Boom! So the drives work, the freezer cards work. I'm ecstatic. This is like paradise lost for me. All right. So one thing I will tell you, if you tap up on the rocker, it'll bring up the standard menu, right? If you hold down for a few seconds, it should reboot to the cartridge, which is cool. Sometimes that seems to work, sometimes it seems not to work. We're going to go ahead and use fast load. So we're done with the disc. This is our new copy of Toy Bizarre, which is awesome. Now we need to try the tape, which of course is going to be bloody forever, but we're going to do it anyway. And of course, I'm not going to make you sit and watch this. We're going to clip the video now. And we're done. Let's check it out. All right, tape, test sat. All right, so now that leads us with our final stuff to talk about. First thing, these are some basic tricks and tips that are going to help you out. First off, update your firmware, right? I highly recommend you do that. The action replay cartridge and probably other stuff doesn't probably work well without it. It should go without saying, but it comes with this great manual. Now, you might think that this is just a reproduction from the original manual. It's not. This actually tells you all sorts of good stuff about this actual product. You want to at least look at the first pieces of this because it will give you some valuable information. Read the manual, or at least start the manual. I did mention already about the action replay cartridge. If for some reason you get a reset that does not work, instead of taking the cartridge out or powering off, hit F1 from here, do a power reset, reboot the 64, and it will get you back to whatever the cartridge is that's installed, whether it's fast load or whether it's action replay. Finally, you may be interested in taking content from a floppy disk and bringing it into a virtual disk here. Oddly enough, that's really super easy. Stick it in drive 8, for example, go into your menu, go into the file browser, go to wherever your storage is that you want to do, hit F1, select Utilicopy, select which drive you want to read from, and it will read the contents. I don't know why it does that, but it'll read the I know it sounds like it's going to format it. It freaked me out. It's going to read the contents, and then it's going to ask you where you want to stick it. This actually is very, very fast. Notice there's a little graphical glitch up here. I wonder if they know about that. Since my firmware's updated, I would assume that that would have been fixed, but maybe they just didn't notice it, or maybe nobody uses this. Who knows? Now it wants you to give it a name. 1982. That's it. Then you can do another one. Now, you see there's a bunch of goober stuff on here, so that's something I guess they get to fix, right? So now, if we go to Christmas 1982, oh, look at that. What happened here? It's trying to load from the drive. Okay, well, we can't have that, because that ruins our fun. So I'm going to unplug this drive so we have a drive 8 again. Remember, we talked about this earlier. So now we have no drive 8, no disk in there, nothing up my sleeves. Let's try it again. This time, though, we do need to turn the built-in drive A on. You can hear it. And take a listen. The drive sounds are emulated through the speaker. Oh, well, that was super quick, wasn't it? And, of course, the infinite Commodore 64 Christmas demo takes forever to load, by the way, without some sort of a fast cartridge. And you're thinking, wait a minute, we do have a fast cartridge. Why can't we make that work? Ah, excellent call. So I'm going to mount this disk. Oops. Let's do a full reset here. Now, see, I did a reset and the action replay is not seen. Jump in, F1, power and reset, reboot, boom. Please put the fast load in. Great. Go here, select, mount the disk, don't run it. Now it's inserted and it's here now. We get the benefit of the fast load in place. Hopefully it'll behave. This should be a whole lot faster now. Notice the screen blanking is working, so action replay is doing its job. And it's already pretty much done. Well, it's got to get the second part. There we go. Look, I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more details about anything about the Commodore 64 Ultimate, I will be doing more tutorials. One of the things that you're probably saying, Shane, you didn't cover it, you missed it. How do I take a digital image and write it back to the disk? Believe it or not, I can't find any built-in function for that. But if you want to see me do it, I can show you how to do it by using a tool. I can do that tutorial for you. Suffice to say, it's been amazing to have a brand new Commodore under the tree for Christmas, not in 1985, but in 2025. Commodore, welcome back. We missed you. I love this new machine. Please, comments, questions, all down below, like and sub, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for watching. Take care. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I love you all.